A long time ago in the land of Uz, there was a man named Job. Job loved God and he wanted to do good. God blessed Job. And back in that time, one way you could tell that a person was blessed was because they had many, many animals. Job had 7,000 sheep, Job had 3,000 camels. Job had 1,000 oxen. Oh, they can't step on each other, can they? There, we'll fix that. And Job had 500 donkeys. Job was blessed by God. I'm sure the people at that time noticed. Well, somebody else noticed too. Satan noticed. And Satan went to God and said, God, you think Job loves you? He just loves all the stuff you give him or let him have. If you took all that stuff away, he wouldn't love you anymore. God said, Job would love me even without all those things. So Satan said, let me prove it. Let me take away all his things and he will not love you anymore. So God said, okay, but don't harm Job. So Job was out and about, and one of his servants came running and said, Job, something terrible's happened. We were out plowing in the field with the donkeys and with the oxen, and some bad people came along and they killed the servants. And you know, with Job having so many animals, he had to have a lot of servants. But this one servant said they came and they stole all the donkeys and all the oxen, and they killed all the servants except I escaped to come tell you. And about the time he finished, another servant came running up and said, Job, we were taking care of the sheep and there was a terrible fire and all the sheep and all the servants except for me were burned up. And by the time he finished, another servant came running and said, Job, some bad people came and they stole all your camels. And they killed all the servants except me. And then by the time he finished, another servant came running up and said, Job. And Job had a big family. He had 10 children. He had 7 boys and 3 girls. And they were grown and they all enjoyed each other's company. You know how sometimes we have family dinners? Well, they were having a family dinner at the oldest son's house. And a servant came running and said, there was a horrible windstorm and blew the house down. And all your children were killed. So Job was very distraught. He tore his clothes and he was just in agony. He tore his clothes and he shaved the hair off his head. and he went out to set and to talk to God. He still trusted God, even though all these terrible things had happened to him. And Satan went to God, and God said, see, he still loves me, even though all his stuff is gone. Well, Job's wife came to him, and she said, Job, all these terrible things have happened. Why don't you just tell God you're tired of it all? Just let me die. Job said no, he trusted God. Well, then he had another friend. Well, 3 friends. And I forget their names. Well, anyhow, he had 3 friends. And they came to talk to him. And they said, Job, you've probably sinned. That's why all this stuff is happening. You need to talk to God and get him to forgive you for this sin. And Job said, but I haven't sinned. And they talked a long time, but finally the friends went away. And then another, much younger friend came and said, Job, God is faithful. And you need to talk with God and make sure you're doing what he wants you to do. So then he left, and Job talked with God. And God showed him that where was Job when he created the earth? Where was Job when he created all the people? He showed him that God was the one that was really in control. And it's good that Job loved God, but he really needed to continue to trust God. And so Job said he trusted God. So God blessed Job. Wait, I forgot something important. Back before his wife came, the devil talked to God and said, but his body's fine. If his body was touched, then he would curse you and die. Well, God said, okay, you can hurt his body, but you can't kill him. So Job got all these boils. And you know what? I don't know if you know what boils are. They're little spots on your skin. They're not exactly a pimple. They're not exactly a mosquito bite. But if you've ever been out in the summer and get a lot of mosquito bites, they're little red spots. They scratch. And they're just very irritating. So Job had boils, and his wife wanted him to curse God and die. And he didn't. He trusted God. And so God restored all that he had lost. He had his home. He had camels. He had sheep. Probably as many as before, although it might have taken a while to get that many. He had oxen. And he had donkeys. And God restored his children. He had another 10 children who grew up, 7 boys and 3 girls. The children grew up, and Job got to see his grandchildren. And his great-grandchildren. And he praised God and trusted God. And even though he went through all these things, the one friend who was here and said, you need to talk to God and trust God, he needed a mediator. And that guy was kind of like a mediator. he talked with him and had him talk with God. That's kind of like us today. Jesus is our mediator. Jesus helps us and goes between us and God so that we can be faithful to God.